Good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast. I hope this gives you a wonderful start to your day.
Yes, thank you and welcome. Today we will be discussing, in our opinion, the most influential caliph of the four rightly guided caliphs. And don't worry if you don't know what a caliph is, or are wondering which caliphs are the four rightly guided. We'll get to that in a second.
The four rightly guided caliphs, or the Rashidun Caliphate, refer to the first four caliphs in power after the death of the Prophet Muhammad. The term caliph, short for the Arabic term Califatu Rasulullah, roughly translate to successor of the messenger of God, referring to how they took over the leadership position previously occupied by Muhammad.
Right, the four caliphs considered to be the rightly guided ones are Abu Bakr, who was in power for only 2 years, from 632 to 634 CE, Umar in power from 634 through 644, Uthman in power from 644 to 656, and finally Ali, who was in power from 656 to 661 CE. So, who is the most influential out of the bunch?
Well, it would have to be Umar. He did the most during his reign and had the most policies with lasting impacts on the larger Muslim community. He rapidly expanded the Islamic Empire and established Islam as a dominant force.
For those who know this topic, you might be asking yourself, but didn't Uthman also expand the empire quite a bit?
The answer to that would be that he did, but Umar oversaw the most significant territorial expansion of the entire Rashidun Caliphate, taking over large parts of the Byzantine Empire, including modern-day Syria, Palestine, and Egypt, as well as conquering the Sasanian Empire, located in Persia, and even expanding further to the north towards modern-day Azerbaijan.
Uthman primarily focused on expanding along the northern coast of Africa, and didn't see much expansion past that. Now, before we go any further, it's worth asking, what about the other caliphs? Abu Bakr, Uthman, Ali? They all played major roles in early Islamic history, so why is Umar the one we're calling the most influential?
That's a great point. Each of the Rashidun caliphs contributed something important, but Umar's impact stands out because of how deeply his decisions shaped the long-term structure of the Islamic Empire.
Take Abu Bakr, for example. His reign was short, just 2 years, but he stabilized the Muslim community after the Prophet's death, and put down the Ridda Wars. That was crucial, but it was mostly about preserving unity rather than building new systems.
Exactly. Abu Bakr laid the foundation, but Umar built the house.
And then there's Uthman. He's often remembered for commissioning the standardized written Quran, which is obviously a massive religious contribution, but politically his reign was marked by growing internal tensions and accusations of nepotism. His administrative legacy just doesn't compare to Umar's.
Right. Uthman expanded the empire, but he didn't reshape how it functioned. Umar did that.
And Ali. He's admired for his scholarship and leadership, but his time as caliph was dominated by civil conflict, like the First Fitna. That limited his ability to implement long-lasting reforms.
Exactly. Ali's influence is huge in religious and intellectual traditions, but in terms of statecraft and governance, Umar's impact is unmatched. Umar approached governance with a level of organization that was pretty much revolutionary for the time. For starters, he created a formal administrative structure for the empire, dividing it into provinces, each with its own governor, treasurer, and judge.
He was known to keep government officials following strict ethical guidelines, removing anyone abusing their power with no hesitation, unlike Uthman. Umar is additionally credited with laying the foundation for an independent judiciary in Islam.
Judges were appointed as legal authorities expected to rule fairly, even against powerful individuals. Umar also introduced various rules for evidence, witness testimony, and due process. He wanted to make sure that justice was accessible to everyone and that no one was above the law.
So, when we say Umar was the most influential caliph, it's not just because he expanded the empire. It's because he built the systems to allow it to survive and function. His reforms shaped Islamic governance for centuries, and even later dynasties borrowed heavily from the frameworks he put in place.
And this is what we call the Umar effect. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you have a wonderful day.